started out with what is performance testing, the user load. Then we understood what record, replay, debug, fix, create the scenario, and also fixing the scenario. We understood what is JMeter and what is. Welcome everybody. Welcome to one more video from DigiBytes this week. I have Anuj Gupta, who is an extraordinary performance tester, and he has accepted to talk to us about what performance testing is and what the nitty-gritties or important things about performance testing is. So rather than me talking about performance testing and introduction, who is Anuj? Let me have Anuj talk to him, give introduction. Hi Anuj, how are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you doing, Raghav?
Good, good. Thank you. So, Anuj, why don't you introduce yourself? We just spoke recently, but how
Yeah,
are you? And
sure,
why don't you introduce yourself?
sure. So I am from performance background. So I am doing performance testing from almost like 6.7 years. Uh, I have been working with Own Solutions. So this is my third company. So I am
Hmm.
currently carrying out the things in performance engineering part from for Own Solutions platform architecture for the databases, for the UI aspects of things, for the uh, yeah,
Hmm.
so for the mostly the database part of things and the
Okay.
UI part of things for the
How long have you
platform.
been working with in this industry?
So I am going to complete almost 7 years in this industry.
Oh, okay.
So I've been working in IT from 2015, in the
Okay.
starting of 2015. So it will be my seventh year.
And you started with performance testing, and you're still doing performance testing?
Yes, that's my goal. I have to learn more in performance testing because the scope is very, very vast in this.
Okay.
So
Okay.
very, very large things to learn.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And what are the different domains you have worked in?
Domain, you can say I have worked in the telecommunication domain, which is Oracle, OSS and BSS. I have worked in the IoT applications. I have worked with the cloud applications. I
Wow.
am currently working on the supply chain management platform. I have been working with the database applications also. So
Wow.
all of these applications I have handled.
Very nice. So, without much delay, what is performance testing?
So if I'm going to like teach anyone who is like fresher or who is just a college dropout or even the 12th pass out, I can say the performance testing is the testing of the application or the testing of the database or the testing of the platform of the UI which you are maintaining or the CPU non-functional aspects of things. So there are, so this is the functional and there are non-functional. This comes in non-functional aspects of things. So all the non-functional and the CPU memory, all these things comes under performance. So in this, you have to know that it's the how the application is responding when a particular amount of load comes into the system.
Mm-hmm.
So basically how what is the application, how is the platform responding when you are applying the load or when you are doing certain aspects of things on the system.
So
So that comes under
what
performance side
load
of
we
things.
put on? Yeah. So what load we put? What should we respond?
So yeah, so by load we mean user load. When the chunk of users come into the system, when there are more than 100 or 200, or so this basically comes when you have to develop large site, you have to grow your company, you have to large scale your company. Then you have to consider the performance aspects of things. You have to know that how your application will handle large amount of user load. So user load is one aspect of thing, but you can say that there are many other things which comes under performance aspects. It's just a simple word. You can, in the layman term, you can say that user load, but you have to see many other
So
things with that.
so
You
can
have
I
to see
say
queries.
yeah, so can I say Facebook, when you open Facebook, uh
Mhm.
million users can come in at 1 minute, right? So can Facebook
Yes.
stay for when million users come in at one point? Is that performance testing?
I have to give you an example of that.
Okay.
So in 2015 or 2014, when this big billion day sale came for the Flipkart, Flipkart was not ready for that this much amount of user load to be handled by the system. So the performance testing part of the Flipkart wasn't tested. They only tested the functional, if the all the flow is working, all the queries are working or not, all the transactions are working or not, but they didn't test the performance aspect of thing, mean the how much load the system can maintain. So when the big billion sale came, application, all the website, completely the transactions got, they just got destroyed. They are not
Correct.
responding it. It's got like hanged.
Correct.
So then they got to know that we are not doing the performance testing. So
Mm,
then performance is very necessary for any of the application which needs to grow big or which needs to handle bulk users.
correct. Correct. So the answer to the question why the performance testing is needed is if you want the application to scale itself
Scale to get robust, to get sustainability.
and to get sustainability, to get the more
Yeah,
reliability of the application,
yeah,
performance testing is needed. So very good point. So
yeah.
what is performance testing is how the user, how the application responds to the user load, and why it is required is you want to grow and you want to become scalable, then it is important, right? Very good
Yeah, it
point.
is important because if the system is, if your application is not stable or if your application is not robust, then it doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't make any
It will
sense.
crash. It will crash eventually.
Correct. No, it's very powerful. So, what are the different kinds of performance testing tools are out there in the market?
Uh, so the first and foremost tool which is free for all is JMeter, which I am
JMeter.
working on currently. Uh, so there is paid tool also, which is Load Runner. There are other tools also, Neoload, or you can find many other tools. But two tools which are major in the market are Load Runner and JMeter. So these tools are used to develop scripts, to run tests, to generate the result, to provide the result to the client. So if you are going to come in performance background, if you are going to come into performance testing, if you want to test your application, then you need to learn this basic these
Tools.
basic tool, load runner or JMeter, mostly JMeter, because this is the industry. All the companies are using this.
So, it's like an industry standard. Learning JMeter, performance
Yeah,
testing, this kind of an industry standard.
JMeter or load runner also
Load runner also. And both of them are open
40,
source?
it's 40 60. Uh, load runner is not open source. JMeter is open source.
Load runner is not open source. Okay,
Yeah.
JMeter. So, learning JMeter, which is an open source technology, is easy, it's tough. If somebody needs to start, let's say a
Uh,
high school or an engineering student, where do they start learning JMeter?
Firstly, they need to know about the application architecture. They need to know about how the application will respond, how the user is going. They need to know about the flow. They can do the recording part. Recording is very easy, but the debugging part, you have to know you have to know JavaScript for that. You have to for debugging the script, you have to know JavaScript, or in Loader for debugging the script, you have to know C, C or C++.
Okay.
Uh, so that is necessary. That is basic things here you need to know
So you
about.
said recording, uh, s- debugging, and then script writing, right? Or how does the order come?
In the sequence, you can say recording, then replaying, then debugging the script, then fixing the script, and then run the script.
Okay. So
And
record, replay is also scripting, or scripting comes. So what is
so
recording?
if you record the flow, you have to record a certain flow from point 1 to point 2. So there are different
Yes.
transactions in the flow. So from
Okay.
one transaction to other transaction, from B to C, from C to D, it's all
Yeah.
part of a recording. You have to record
So
the flow.
you have to basically trace the
The
path of
tool will,
the. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So the
Mhm.
tool will record all the things. Then you have
Okay.
to replay, and you have to replay that whatever you have recorded. Then you
Okay.
will see errors in that. So you have to debug the errors. Then you have to apply the user load in that. Then you have to play the scenario.
Okay. So is
And
it
for
like go to page A, go to page B, go to page C is recording?
correct, Correct.
And
Correct.
now as a user,
Performing
I might go
operations.
page A, page 3, page C is my replay.
Mhm.
When I do this replay, I get errors
Your script will break,
and a
definitely.
script will break. Okay.
And you have to apply the code in that. You have to do the JavaScripting part in that for
Correct.
debugging the script. Then only after that you can run the script.
So where
And
does
then
the
you have to
C
create
part
the
come?
scenario.
Where does the C++ part comes?
C++ comes in when you are doing it on the loader. So when you're
Okay.
doing it in JMeter, you can do the JavaScript part. So both the tools handle different kind of languages.
Okay. Okay. So I record, I replay, I debug, I run the
Run.
script, and
Then you
I fix
create
the
the
script.
scenario.
Create the scenario. Create the scenario
Create
and
the
fix.
scenario before running the load test. You have to create different uh, threads in your uh, scenario. Then you have to run the performance scenario, applying
Correct.
the user load. So user load needs to be set up. First, you have to do the benchmarking of your application. Then you have to run the user load. Firstly, you have to do the functionality. If the functionality is working or not, because if the functionality is not working, that then a recording will fail.
Will fail.
Yeah.
Good.
If you are getting 404, then recording will fail.
Okay. So you record, you basically you trace the issue, you recreate the issue. I mean, create the scenario,
Mhm.
recreate the issue, and make sure that everything is working fine. And then you say, okay,
Yeah.
it works. And then these companies, like big companies like Amazon and Facebook, release their application outside, right?
It's also not that easy. So these come in the performance testing part of things. So scripting, anybody who knows scripting, is like beginner, you can say.
Correct.
So if you learn the scripting, that is beginner. If you going to integrate different applications and performing the scripting, creating the scripts for
Hmm.
application for database also,
Hmm.
and you have to know different languages also. If you are integrating it with Jenkins, you have to
Hmm.
apply the CI/CD pipelining for that. So these things come under performance engineering part.
Oh,
Scripting and providing the results come under performance testing part. So this is the
okay.
beginner. So
Okay.
when a newbie will come, he will learn first the scripting part. And
Correct.
within
Correct.
1 year, he will be able to learn the scripting part. He will be able to provide the result. He will be able to run the scenario.
Okay.
This he will be going to run in the first year, maybe 6 months. Anybody can learn in 6 months or more than that, earlier than that.
Makes
But
sense.
the engineering part is tricky part.
Correct. I was looking at a question of what we wrote down, and I think one of the standard questions is like, how do they start learning this? We spoke about so many things, right? How do they start learning this?
Uh, Firstly, you have to know about you have to know about your application. You have
Okay.
to know about the architecture. You have to know about how many CPUs involved in your application, how the load balancer is working, how the memory is working. So
Hmm.
firstly, you have to know about the prerequisites of your application.
Okay.
Then you can start with the requirement gathering.
Okay.
That what are the flows which user can apply the load on, which are
Correct.
the mostly used flows. Like if you are going in Amazon, if a sale is coming for a new phone, like if an iPhone is coming, then you need to perform that selecting iPhone, adding it into the cart and
Correct.
purchasing it. So these are the three transactions.
Correct.
So you have to know what is your flow.
Correct.
Okay, then you have to know the scripting
Correct.
firstly. But the first part is architecture. You get to know about the requirements.
So at least understand what you want to do, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes,
Now, so
yes.
after understanding, if let's say, but this is for an experienced person, if a uh, engineering student wants to start um, his or her life in performance testing, right? What are the areas
Mhm.
where they can go? Let's say I want to learn JMeter. Should I? That's where I start, or should I like? I am an engineering student. I want to do this. So where should I start?
Getting to know about the server, getting to know about the UI. Maybe you can start by learning. about the different monitoring tools also. How can you monitor? You can learn by learning about JVM, by learning about
Okay.
the garbage collection.
Okay.
So if you are interested in these things, like OS part of things, what are the
Okay.
kernels, what are the threads, how many heaps, how the heap is getting handled,
Hmm.
then if your interest is in that field, then you can start in the performance testing part.
Oh, very good point. So, guys, if you're all thinking about like how a kernel works, how a JVM, I think it's
How the
Java
garbage is getting collected, how the
garbage
heap is
collection.
responding.
Yeah, so all these areas, if you are interested, I think you might have an interest in performance testing. So you can definitely explore that area and what is the performance testing, and this video can definitely help you get there. So
So
uh,
in my college days, sorry to interrupt you, in
no,
my
please, yeah.
college days, I used to like OS, operating system. It came in, I think, the third year. I
Hmm.
used to like that subject. Then I got to know that this is what I can work on. This is what I can achieve.
Very good,
This
very
is
good.
what I
You
can opt
never know
for
what
my.
your interest is, right? So suddenly
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
your operating system is your interest, and that is where you came into performance testing, which makes sense.
So anybody who is in computer science and whose interest is in operating system subject, they
Correct.
can opt for this thing.
Very good. Very good. I think that's a very good point. So now, before we end this video, what are your learning goals for 2022?
Yeah, this will help me to grow in the DevOps part. So performance
DevOps part.
engineering will come into DevOps. So
Oh,
if
so
you want to
entire this
grow your
performance
career
is in
in
DevOps.
DevOps, so if you want to grow your career and if you want to apply for more things, if you want to get more opportunities, then you can shift into DevOps part. You can do the performance engineering. You can shift to Jenkins. You can shift to CI/CD pipelining. You can shift to GitHub
Very
or
good.
any other thing.
Correct. So I think it's a great introduction. If you see, we started. I think it's a great
Yeah,
introduction
yeah.
and for performance testing. Anuj, thanks a lot for your time. Any last things you wanna recommend to our users, or
My
you
pleasure.
wanna?
My pleasure. No, I can just say that they can come to me and ask about any of the performance engineering or performance testing questions.
Yes.
They are most
Great.
welcome.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for offering that help. So everybody, if anybody has any specific questions on performance testing, you want to learn performance testing, or you're already in a performance testing role and you want to grow in that specific area, do not hesitate. We have uh, a volunteer for Anuj is volunteering here to help in that area. So put those questions in the comments, or you can always reach out to me. I'll put my email address there. Otherwise, till next time, thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time with a greater video. Thanks a lot, Anuj. See you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Raghav.
Take care.